DFO needs to be stopped. The government needs to be stopped.
Tonight, a rally to assert treaty rights and a message for whoever is named the next Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
I hope that people, when they look at it, that it touches their heart, that it, gives them peace.
A monument honoring the missing and murdered is unveiled in the Yukon.
Since it hasn't been tanned or processed or anything like that, people might want to use it for clothing, people who do crafts and whatnot.
And Nunavut can't sell these polar bear hides, so they're letting them go at fire sale prices. Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. Former Department of Fisheries Minister Bernadette Jordan failed to be re-elected on Monday, but that didn't stop supporters of the Mi'kmaq treaty fishery from taking action today. Angel Moore reports on a demonstration in front of DFO's Atlantic headquarters in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
Supporters and Mi'kmaq fishers gathered in front of DFO headquarters. Mateo Labrador of the Acadia First Nation organized the event.
DFO needs to be stopped. The government needs to be stopped. It's come down to we have to take our land back. We're taking it back. We're taking our waters back.
Mi'kmaq lobster harvesters treaty fishing have had their gear seized and been arrested by DFO officers. The department says the Mi'kmaq are violating the Fisheries Act. Matt Cope of Millbrook First Nation had over 60 traps seized last year and is now facing charges.
They want to not honor the obligations and the treaties that they made, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and I think it's nothing short than an act of war.
Noah Johnson of Beau-de-Ladec First Nation says the fisheries officers are aggressive.
So it's honestly to the point I think the Mi'kmaq fishermen and fisherwomen are going to take action into their own hands. We are not safe from the government of Nova Scotia. They criminalized our treaties.
The Mi'kmaq fishers say they will continue to assert their treaty rights. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Jabukduk, also known as Halifax.
Kahnawake Mohawks may benefit from an unprecedented agreement in principle. It was signed between New York State and Hydro-Quebec this week. The price tag, $20 billion. The end goal is to bring hydropower across the border into the U.S. by the year 2025. The underground transmission line will be built on the land of the seigneurie of Sault Ste. Louis. Though it technically falls outside of reserve borders, the seigneurie is ancestral Mohawk territory and has been subject of an ongoing federal land claim since 2003. Kahnawake will eventually receive a cut of the total profits, but for Mohawk Council chiefs, territorial recognition is an essential first step.
There's an acknowledgement and recognition of our historic territory by Hydro-Quebec, as has been done by other utilities in the past as well, in St. Remy by Kruger Energy and so on. But it's more of the partnership and relationship that I think is most beneficial to the community at this point, including the recognition of seigneurie.
To the pandemic now, and as COVID-19 cases reach an all-time high, it's putting immense pressure on the Northwest Territories' already limited healthcare system. Our reporter Charlotte Moore-Jacobs brings us that story.
Admissions into the intensive care unit because of COVID-19 are on the rise in Yellowknife. 4 patients have required ICU since September 17th. Stanton Territorial Hospital has 6 ICU beds, up from the regular 4.
It continues to challenge our healthcare system with not only the beds to put people in, but the expertise to deal with that. So our staffing resources continue to be stretched quite thin.
In a press conference yesterday, officials announced stricter gathering limits in hopes of reducing the number of new cases.
COVID activity in Yellowknife impacts them greatly. People travel to hub communities and then back home for a variety of reasons and needs. Our office is aware of introduction of COVID-19 in at least 5 small communities after travel from Yellowknife.
Chief Public Health Officer Dr. Cami Candola says close to 60% of active cases are in Yellowknife and surrounding area.
23 NWT residents have been hospitalized, which includes 9 ICU admissions since mid-August. 2 NWT residents have died in the past month. NWT depends on Alberta for the care of the sickest NWT residents, and its intensive care capacity is being stretched.
As doctors and nurses handle the surge of hospitalized COVID-19 patients, they're facing yet another challenge: issues with the distribution for oxygen within the building and limits on the total volume of oxygen that can be given in each area of the hospital at one time. According to the territory's press release, high-flow oxygen devices are used to assist COVID-19 patients to breathe. Hospital staff are moving towards treatments that use less oxygen than that of a ventilator and keeping an eye on the situation. Charlotte Mort-Jacobs, APTN National News, Yellowknife.
Time to step aside for a quick break. Still to come, the second part of our series on the mighty Moisie River. Welcome back. In northeastern Quebec, the Moisie River connects the Innu people to their ancestral hunting and fishing lands. For the second part of our series, APTN was invited to tag along for a session of night harpoon fishing, an ancestral practice that was once an act of rebellion that has since become an act of resilience and reclamation. The story is by Sylvia Ambrose, narrated by Jeff Dorn.
Mr. Shibo, Mr. Shibo.
Fishermen from all over the world come to fish the Moisie River, but long before American tourists discovered the river, the Innu were salmon fishing here.
Bueno, iti da magona chinno. Udaba squadu do sama squadu do. Deni ni do deni gengi den ket da get to the hane. Twi hu jam di huin.
Modern salmon fishing is usually done in the day, but under the shadow of the night is the ideal time for an ancestral practice, harpoon fishing.
Mr. Shibo.
The Nipisis River, which translates as Little Stream, is an important site in the Innu relationship with salmon. Located 45 kilometers from the mouth of the Moisie River, this camp was recently bought by the Washat-Makminiulian First Nation in 2019 from its former non-Aboriginal owners. Camp Nipisis hosts Washat-Makminiulian members throughout the summer. Jean-Guy Mackenzie is preparing to give youth a demonstration of night harpoon fishing. According to Mackenzie, night fishing was a way to fish clandestinely, because for decades Innus were not allowed to fish here by the former owners of the Nipisi camp. It starts with a light. Back in the day, this light would have been a torch, and while it shines brighter than the traditional way, it's safer. According to Mackenzie, the torch served a dual purpose: to attract the salmon and also for the fisherman to see his prey in the depths of the water. The lessons continue with a demonstration of the technique. During his childhood, Mackenzie learned to aim for the salmon's head, because if you aim at the body, you may lose it by stabbing it in the tail. Mackenzie spends much of the night in pursuit. He crawls along the shore in search of his prey in several locations in the Nipisis. But for 2 hours, no bites. The normally abundant Nipisi River is giving nothing to Mackenzie this evening, but it won't prevent him from getting in his boat and trying again. Another activity for the Innu youth here is to learn smoking salmon. Maxime Rock explains that smoked salmon is traditionally eaten on big occasions, such as weddings.
C'est vraiment la technique. Comment il m'a appris quand on mangeait ensemble en famille autrement.
There are many ways to smoke a salmon, but Rock's preferred method involves going into the forest, finding a fallen tree, and harvesting some wood in the early stages of dry rot. According to Rock, this fine, extremely dry, almost powdery substance gives smoked salmon its flavor.
Les peaux rouges. Puis c'est drôle là. Si tu le mets dans tes mains, je vais te donner un morceau, tu le feras. Puis tu vas sentir, c'est quoi je veux dire, le waterproof.
Because Innu territory is near the Gulf of the St. Lawrence, Rock uses sticks of wood collected on the beach discarded by the sea to feed the fire. He says salt water absorbed by the wood adds to the flavor.
Depuis que je fais ça, j'ai étudié ça pareil. Pourquoi il prenait, tu sais, pourquoi il revient autant souvent. Hein? Puis j'ai pu sortir de tout ça, puis c'est ce qu'on m'a dit, moi. C'est drôle comment que notre instinct de survie était fort. Je me dis, tu sais, pour trouver tous ces petits trucs-là, puis c'est à côté, là, c'est dans le bois qui est là, partout, là. Et voilà. Très pas compliqué.
Mackenzie, for his part, agrees with Rock's observation about the importance of the oral transmission of traditions.
On est à bout de man, c'est une autre. On va se dire, conscientiser, une autre, c'est haben de nous, c'est autre. La relève, oui, tout. Quand on a 16 ans, 17 ans, des potes dans cette monnaie. Mais 5 ans, 6 ans, 7 ans, des potes,
For the Innu, the transformation of Camp Nipisi into a kind of cultural center is a step towards reclaiming the Moisie River. On the third and final part of our series, we'll examine what the future holds for what the Innu call the Mississippi, the Great River. A story by Sylvie Amboise, APTN National News, Malunutnam, Quebec.
What a great story and some great tips on how to properly smoke a salmon there. We'll have part 3 of our story on the Moisie River on tomorrow night's newscast. Time now for one more quick break. Still to come, a look at the struggling polar bear hide market.
And with the demand being so low, it didn't look like they were going to be sold at any point. Not because they're bad hides, they're just a little bit smaller, a little bit poorer quality than those international buyers are looking for.
Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. And this beauty was sent in by our very own Daryl Stranger, who caught this full rainbow all the way in Winnipeg, Manitoba. If you look real close, you can see a double rainbow. What does it all mean? Well, for the chance to be featured as our next photo of the day, be sure to send your photos to share@aptn.ca. There's bound to be some rainbow conditions out there tomorrow. Let's take a look at Friday's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, 15 in St. John, sunny and 21 in Halifax. 19 with showers in Kuujjuaq, 20 and cloudy in Nain. 25 for Montreal, 23 and cloudy in Chibougamau. Showers and 15 in Sault Ste. Marie, 21 with rain in North Bay. Rain and 15 in Thunder Bay, showers and 13 for Sioux Lookout. 14 in Norway House, 15 and sunny in the Paw. 19 for Winnipeg and Gimli, 21 in Brandon. Sunny and 20 for Regina, Yorkton and Saskatoon. 20 in Meadow Lake, 11 with showers in Stony Rapids. In northern Alberta, 16 with rain for Fort McMurray, 1 degree warmer in Grand Prairie. Sunny and 23 for Medicine Hat, 22 under the sun in Lethbridge. 19 in Vancouver and Victoria, 22 in Kamloops. Showers and 16 for Prince George, rain and 11 in Dease Lake. 3 with snow in Old Crow, showers and 10 in Whitehorse. Rain and 9 for Yellowknife and Norman Wells. +1 with snow for Sax Harbor, 3 and snow in Inuvik. 5 in Baker Lake, 3 in Chesterfield with rain. -2 and snow in Resolute, 0 in Joe Haven. In honor of missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit Plus people, a new monument was unveiled in Whitehorse last week. As Sarah Connors tells us, the piece will serve as a source of healing and reflection for all Yukoners.
She's a symbol of the women and girls whose lives were taken. Dozens of people gathered at this park in Whitehorse to honor and remember missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit Plus people.
Today, we gather to support one another, and it is a day where we visually recognize a painful truth in our community.
At the heart of this ceremony was this monument, an Indigenous woman beating a drum. A commemoration project led by the Yukon Aboriginal Women's Circle and several other partners. Titled Finding Peace, the monument will serve as a place of healing for families to remember the daughters, mothers, and sisters no longer here today.
The legacy of the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls is a stain on our history and continues to impact our present reality here in the Yukon and throughout the country.
How you can support.
There were several speeches at the public ceremony, including one from Kwanlin Dun First Nation Chief Doris Bill, who had a call to action to politicians in the crowd.
I want you to support initiatives like this. I want to see statues like this across Canada, not just the Yukon. I think it's time.
Others included an impromptu speech from the artist behind the monument.
I would say that the statue, I didn't make the statue, we made the statue. And I hope that people, when they look at it, that it touched their heart, that it gives them peace.
Adeline Weber worked on the monument's planning committee. She hopes it will raise awareness about MMIWG2S+.
It's an opportunity for the general public to become aware of the history and to begin to ask questions about when they see a monument like this, like why is it here?
The monument is also part of the territory's recently released action plan to end violence against Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit Plus people. Jeannie McLean is the minister responsible for the Women and Gender Equity Directorate. She says one action in the strategy is commemoration.
We have courageous. The monument is really symbolic, and because it's that physical presence, you know, that we are digging into the strategy.
A symbol of the women and girls gone, but not forgotten.
And that's what that symbolizes to me. We will never forget, and we will work to prevent this from happening in the future and to change the story.
Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
Starting this weekend, Nunavut residents will have a chance to buy a heavily discounted polar bear skin. Why? Well, partly market forces, and partly because Inuit knowledge says don't waste anything. Here's Kent Driscoll.
Nunavut's Environment Department had a problem. These polar bear hides were waiting for years to be sold at auction. The government pays the harvesters a deposit and then sells the fur at auction. These furs weren't selling.
And with the demand being so low, it didn't look like they were going to be sold at any point. Not because they're bad hides, they're just a little bit smaller, a little bit poorer quality than those international buyers are looking for.
Why aren't these furs selling? The market's influenced by many factors, but the buyers were shook for a particular reason.
Several years ago, polar bears were up to become a higher level of protection than they currently are under the Convention on International Trade of Endangered Species. So where it almost was uplisted to a point where there'd be no international export of polar bears at all. So there was just a couple years where the international buyers kind of pumped the brakes because they were worried that if they were to purchase the hides, they'd be unable to export them out of Canada.
If the market hadn't have crashed, there would be a market for these furs. But for now, buyers are only interested in the highest quality. The roughly 200 hides are being sold at discount to Nunavummiut. Depending on size and quality, they'll cost anywhere between $200 and $800. These hides have had the flesh removed and have been dried, but not tanned. They aren't the kind of hide you'd want to hang up on your wall, but polar bear fur has a lot of uses. From mitts to pants, Nunavut craftspeople will turn these hides into something new.
Since it hasn't been tanned or processed or anything like that, you know, people might want to use it for clothing. You know, people who do crafts and whatnot, you know, might be able to purchase one and use several different parts of the hide for different crafts and stuff like that.
The hides go live for sale on September 28th. The first half will be made available to Inuit first. After that, all Nunavummiut will have a shot at them. What international buyers feared is to the benefit of Nunavut's craftspeople. Those hides might not sell in the south, but Nunavummiut will find a way to use them. Kent Driscoll, APTN National News, Iqaluit.
Good luck to all those harvesters this weekend. That's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Thursday. For the very latest, visit our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for being with us. Have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.